Good Friday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. Hopefully, everyone has had a fantastic Friday so far. I am your meteorologist, Justin Peterson, and let's go on and talk about the weather for your Friday. But first, before we go on and get into that, this will be a quick forecast update. We're not going to do anything that we might do like the crazy score or check in with the audience because obviously there is no live audience. So it's going to be a quick forecast. I have something I have to do in about 30 minutes, and so I'm going to try and keep this as little and as short as possible. So let's go on real quick. First off, it's Friday. Congratulations. You've made it all the way to Friday, meaning that you indeed are at the weekend. But let's see what's going on right now. We do have some widespread shower and thunderstorm activity going on right now throughout the state. We have a little special weather statement over here from Monk's Corner going to Bonnu Beach, and then also over here inside of Pinewood in Wedgefield, South Carolina. Strong storms are moving through those areas right now, and rainfall is going on in other places like the upstate, the low country, the PD, Grand Strand area. And if we go on and see what's going on inside of the entire U.S., we have rainfall going into Georgia, to Florida, to Alabama, even going inside of New York and Tennessee. You also do have some rainfall over here in Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, and even a severe thunderstorm warning over here in Las Vegas. Yes, Las Vegas indeed has a little severe thunderstorm moving on through there. Now, what's going on right now in terms of current temperatures? Right now, 77 in Columbia, 79 in Orangeburg, and that just changed. 78 in Columbia, and even 79 in Orangeburg, 79 in Somerville, as well as 81 in Georgetown, 80 in Murrells Inlet, and even 80 inside of Myrtle Beach, 80 also in Conway and North Myrtle Beach, 79 in Florence, and 78 inside of Hartsville. Now, what's going on right now up here inside of the upstate? You have around 77 in Lancaster, 75 in Rock Hill, and even 75 in Gaffney, 74 in Spartanburg, and 73 in Greenville and Anderson. Low temperatures for tonight, you have around 66 in Greenville, 66 in Spartanburg, and even 67 in Rock Hill, 69 in Columbia, and 70 in Orangeburg, 70 in Sumter, and even 70 in Monk's Corner, 71 in Charleston, and 73 in Hilton Head Island, 70 in Georgetown, and 72 in Myrtle Beach, 68 in Aiken, and even in Barnwell, 66 in Greenwood and Anderson. Now, what about for your rainfall? A good amount of rainfall is possible. You have around like a tenth of an inch to a quarter of an inch over there for Georgetown, a quarter of an inch to a half an inch for Myrtle Beach, maybe even Sumter and Kingstree as well. Columbia has that quarter of an inch to a half an inch. Aiken as well. Greenwood and Anderson does. And then you have a half an inch to an inch possible over here for Greenville and Spartanburg. Also, Rock Hill is included in there. Winsboro is included. Newberry is included as well as Camden. And then we also do have some areas that might even get a good 2 to 3 inches of rainfall as we move through the next 24 hours. It's possible. Is it isolated? Absolutely, but it's not really too much on the widespread side. SPC outlook for today, we actually still do have the thunderstorm risk that takes over the entire state. Yes, the entire state still has a thunderstorm risk, and as you move into tomorrow, same thing. Thunderstorms are expected as you move into tomorrow as well. And as you go into day 3, which actually is Sunday, but for some reason I still have Saturday here. Don't worry, I can just do a quick fix real quick, get that up on the screen. It's nothing too different. The entire state, same thing for Sunday. The entire state indeed has another thunderstorm risk. So we're going to see thunderstorms all throughout this weekend. Excessive rainfall, we do have some scattered flash flooding that is expected as we move into the upstate. Seneca, Greenville, Spartanburg, Gaffney, York, Clover, all these areas, scattered flash flooding is indeed possible. Now, what about everybody else? From the southern upstate going to the Midlands, the Low Country, the PD, the Grand Strand, all these areas, isolated flash flooding is still expected as we move through tonight. And then tomorrow, scattered flash flooding now takes over for the Low Country, the Southern Midlands, even into the PD and the Grand Strand. And then also some isolated flash flooding going on over here in the upstate and inside of the Western and mainly the Northern Midlands. For Sunday, we have another isolated flash flood risk that goes for the Low Country, the Southern Midlands, the PD Grand Strand area as well. That is for, obviously, Sunday. And then for Monday, this is when we're going to start seeing some impacts from future Imelda, as we in fact do have a scattered risk of flash flooding again for the Low Country, again for the Grand Strand, again for the PD, and even the Midlands. And then the Upstate also has some isolated flash flooding from the Upstate down all the way into the Western Midlands, even parts of the very, very Western or the very Low Country. Now, for day 5, this is Tuesday. Again, that slight risk expands, and now scattered flash flooding is possible now for, again, pretty much most, if not almost all, of the low country, PD, Grand Strand, Midlands, and then the upstate has isolated flash flooding that is possible as you move up there inside of the upstate. And so these risks will go all the way from tonight all the way into Tuesday, and this will keep on going as we go through possibly even into Wednesday and Thursday as well. So flash flooding is indeed in our future with this storm system, and I will say for sure, if you can bank on anything, if I was a betting man right now, I would 100% say flash flooding will indeed occur, even if this storm does indeed somehow, take a, even if it takes like a little bit of a turn, it will give us some flooding. We're not going to go too in depth with like the short term model, so we're just going to go straight over to the long term, and we're just going to pay attention to Imelda. We're not going to talk about anything else past that. This is the Western Pacific. If we go over here to the Western Atlantic, you push this forward, and we're going to look at everything. Push this forward, and you can see there goes Imelda. This is the GFS right here. GFS has it pushing up towards the coast, kind of gets close, but then gets pulled back by Humberto, and then it kind of just goes off towards the sunset at that point. So it doesn't quite make landfall, but it definitely does bring us some heavy rainfall for sure. The Euro, on the other hand, the Euro actually has this thing going up and making landfall like near Charleston, and then turning around, stalling near the coastal area and bringing just a buttload of rainfall. I mean, this would be a lot of rain for the coastal areas, and that would not be a good sign at all. I mean, you're seeing totals of up to maybe even, if this was to occur as modeled, up to a foot of rain, maybe even higher. So this is something that we saw obviously with Tropical Storm Debbie, if you remember that, when that happened, I believe last year, around in August, we had Debbie come through, and it dropped like 15 to 20 inches of rainfall in like the low country, Charleston, going all the way up into the Tri-County area, Dorchester and Berkeley County. That was a huge rainfall storm. I mean, and I saw places that usually don't flood during that event. So that was very, very memorable, and this could potentially try to do something like that. This is what the Euro is at least saying, giving it kind of like a Debbie outlook. And that obviously wouldn't mean other areas as well. Other areas would for sure feel some of that rainfall as well. I mean, some areas would get, a bunch of inches of rainfall from that. The European AI model, this one kind of has it getting close, but doesn't quite make it there, but it takes that little turn to the north and goes up towards the northeast. So that's another scenario right there. The CMC does in fact have this one kind of, again, getting close, not quite making landfall, but then turning around and coming back. That'd be interesting. If it came around and turned back and hit us, it's like Humberto was like trying to pull it this way, but then it's like, nah, I'm going to turn around instead and then just come on up and impact us. And then the Icon. The Icon is another model that we should also be checking out as well. Icon has this thing not even making it that close. I mean, just at all. This is a huge outlier right here. But it gets Humberto up to be very, very strong. And, I mean, it's expected to get to around Category 3, maybe 4 strength. But right now it looks like that it's going to just pull it up and not really cause too much. So the Icon, this is the best case scenario right here. This would be the best case scenario. Now, what does it look like right now? This is what Humberto looks like right now. But this is what potential tropical cyclone number 9, or Imelda, is right now. Right now, it's just bringing in some of that rainfall, and it's bringing it all the way up through the Bahamas right now. What does the cone look like for it right now? The cone for it pretty much has it stalling. So they're kind of favoring the European model right now, and kind of have it stalling along that coastal area. And you can see, 2 p.m. Wednesday, it sits there all the way from 2 p.m. Monday to 2 p.m. on Wednesday. Look at how slow it moves from 2 p.m. Tuesday to 2 p.m. Wednesday. That would just drop a huge amount of rainfall over on South Carolina. But again, that's still 5 days out, so it's still in the cone of uncertainty. But man, if it did stall like it did with Debbie, that would be just another interesting event. It definitely would reduce the rainfall up there inside of the western North Carolina, far upstate of South Carolina areas that get hit hard, but it would cause more concern for the coastal areas and just the inland coastal areas, just inland. Here's what the latest hurricane model says. Latest says, for the most part, going to curve. You have a couple that goes up over to the east, but for the most part, you have most of them that kind of curves up to the north and west. And so even the GFS and the GEPS are still just those two stubborn models right now that are still kind of like, we think the median of the models still have it going to the right. Yes, it does have some models going over towards South Carolina, but you just have a couple that kind of just make its way over to the right and then just kind of just sit there for the most part and just tries to do its own thing. And then the intensity guidance for the most part, tropical storm category 1, that is what we are expecting with the storm. So timing, it's looking to be next week, Monday. Monday seems to be the first day. So if you have not started preparing yet for this storm, you need to. This will for sure at least cause some sort of flooding concern. And so you definitely need to be watching for this. You need to be watching for it. And you have to be subscribed to the channel. We have 587 subscribers trying to get to 600. That's our goal. Let's go on and get to 600. Somebody asked me if I was going to be live for this event. Not quite sure. Just matters on what happens and what I have going on in my life as well. But if all things look good, I mean, I have nothing really to do. Yeah, sure, I will go live. Let the radar show you what's going on. Now, if it stalls, we'll see what happens there as well. But we will continue to watch and see what happens here. Make sure that you are subscribed again. Stay updated. This is not the time to be lackluster and saying, oh, well, I don't really need the weather right now. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Especially if you're inside of the coastal areas. You definitely do need the storm. One thing I also will say, though, is you might be asking what's the max amount of winds. Unfortunately, they still have this thing here. I don't know why it's still here for the most part, but for the most part, tropical storm watches and warnings have been issued for parts of the Bahamas, so that's what's going on over there with them. I'm not going to make an outro. I'm just going to go and just upload this, just the regular footage, and I will be back tomorrow morning with your Saturday morning forecast update. Make sure that you are there, because we'll be here again talking about tomorrow's weather, obviously, and then also the current updates with future Imelda.